Muscle firing sequence. I touched on this in another video, the order on which muscles fire. Pretty much muscle firing sequence or activation sequence, the order in which things activate or are being used. It's the proper order, the proper sequence is crucial for efficient movement. All right, that's very, very important. Coordination, also very, very important. It could also be an indicator of strength and power. It's a great indicator of that. A very common example of this is the posterior chain. Pretty much any movement in the back usually starts with the glutes first, and then the hamstrings and lower back. That's a very prime example for like running. So those have to activate first. For overall general movement, your firing order, your sequence, it has to recruit muscles in specific order to optimize stability and movement efficiency and coordination. Right? So let's understand what the firing sequence really is about. It's motor neuron activation. All right, I spoke in another video about motor units and motor neurons. Muscle firing is essentially the activation of motor units within the muscle by signals from the motor neurons. And those signals come from the central nervous system, spine, brain, and all that. Right? That's that muscle communication I keep talking about. Right? This is a prime example of what it's for. Coordination and control. The sequence in which muscles contract is a key aspect of how the nervous system coordinates movement. Okay? But it's not always consistent. Yes, I am reading this, by the way. While there are typical firing patterns, the exact order can vary between individuals and even within the same person, depending on the movement and the context of that movement. Right? It's very important for function. Proper firing sequences are essential for efficient movement, injury prevention, and maximizing performance. Another example of firing sequence or firing order, hip extension, prone hip extension. When you lay flat on your stomach and you lift one leg up, your hip extension, right? The firing sequence often involves the glutes first, then the hamstrings and the erector spinae muscles kick in at the end. So that order is glute, hamstring, then erector. Because once the leg passes a certain point that the hamstring can actually pull it, the back muscles have to kick in to kind of pull the rest up. Sometimes that firing order is messed up. I actually had a client, she was a young high school athlete, played lacrosse, had pain, discomfort in her lower back when doing a plank, right? So when I checked her firing order on this very movement, this prone hip extension, her glute wasn't firing first. She didn't feel anything in her glutes. She felt it all in her lower back. So her lower back was actually taking over, but it was only on her right leg, not on her left. So we did some, independent exercises for her, single leg deadlifts, just to really get her to get that muscle communication back, and she could focus on that hamstring and glute. And after a few sessions of doing that, she was able to do a plank without any lower back discomfort. So we basically reprogrammed the firing order for her. So yes, that is an example. Now, what could affect the firing sequence? Like my client, she trained a lot, and she was very athletic. She trained easily 4 times a week in various formats. So somewhere in there, it messed up the communication. Regular exercise, especially exercises that target specific muscle groups, can improve the efficiency of muscle firing sequences. Like what I did, we targeted, her right leg, working on her posterior chain in her right leg, and we were able to kind of put that in the right order. However, muscle imbalances can negatively affect the firing order. They could disrupt the communication back and forth, which, if not addressed, could potentially lead to injury and reduced performance. Again, a simple plank exercise, abdominals were strong, felt pain and discomfort in the lower back, right above the right hip, right above the right glute. So once tested, we found that muscle communication wasn't there, right? It was being disrupted. So using targeted specific exercises, we were able to repair the communication and therefore improve the firing sequence. Now, neuromuscular controls, everything I keep talking about, the muscle communication between the muscle or the motor units in the muscle and the nervous system, right? The spine, spinal cord, and the brain. Its ability to effectively activate and coordinate muscles is crucial for proper firing sequences, as we know. But also, let's not forget that individual anatomy and biomechanics can influence the firing orders. Hip dysfunctions that are genetic, that people are born with, the things that we really can't, correct with exercise. Or not even just correct. Ugh, I did it again. I did my own thing that I don't like. But things that we can't address via exercise alone, there are genetic factors. So the individual anatomy and their biomechanics could change everything, right? There's nothing we can do about that. So, we try our best with, specific targeted movements, but, sometimes it just doesn't always work. That's just the plain truth. So how do we make sure that we have the proper firing sequences? We make sure that communication between the muscle and the nervous system is strong. That mind-muscle, thing that everybody keeps talking about. Not exactly what we're talking about, but you get it. And mostly it's understanding how you feel during a movement, how your body feels. Again, my client, during a simple plank, felt discomfort in her lower back, and she was able to, tell me that, and we were able to address it and fix it before a big injury happened. So, there we go, muscle firing sequence.